This is Dead Serious, a show about short horror stories worthy of discussion. I'm Dead Palate, and I'm the person who puts the rubbery taste into Dasani water. Today we're going to be taking a look at a creepypasta posted to toospooky.com. That's T-O-O spooky.com. This story was written by Carly, and the title of the story is impossible for me to pronounce. I've tried to figure out what language this is written in, and I have no clue, but it's labeled not safe for work, so it's probably up my alley, and I'm interested to read it because of that. Aranea quod Laquearia. Googling this, you get no results. Binging it brings up this story, so let's get right into this. I hung around the bedroom with nothing to do. The ceiling fan blades rotated slowly, knocking around bits of cat fur that remained in the room. Now that I had consumed the cat, there was nothing to play with anymore. I heard the front door of Michael's upstairs apartment open and giggling. It was late. Not an odd time for a sacrifice, but the giggling was different. Okay, so whoever we are, our narrator, is a person who ate a cat, apparently, and they are inside Michael's apartment. We don't know who Michael is, but there is giggling. Not an odd time for a sacrifice, but the giggling was different. Let's see how it was different. Michael let the witch into the bedroom. I could read the energy off her, and she had a hint of magical background. Michael's body language was different with her. They were both acting coy. She was playing with her blue hair. He was touching her shoulders and pulling away. She explained to him about sigils and how they were charged by masturbation. They both giggled at that word. She told him that if he wanted the spirit to leave the room, they would have to write the word banishment as a sigil and charge it. So this is a little bit of keyhole fiction. We're getting a glimpse into this world. Not sure how to feel about that exactly just yet. I like the concept of witchcraft and wizardry and all that kind of shit. At the beginning, you don't know whether this witch is a literal witch or what, but it seems like it is a literal witch. They're both acting coy. It's not clear who we are. Whether we're a corporeal manifestation, whether we are the spirit in question, or whatever it is, but it looks like someone's gonna get a handy J. Here is a bit of advice for you kids, though, out there. If a woman is trying to suck your dick before marriage, that means that she is a witch, and she is trying to suck your soul out through your pee-pee. So be wary, people. That's how I lost my soul. I flickered the lights in disgust. Banishment? Really? She may be a witch, but a low-level one, if not a beginner. This was just insulting. Okay, so it seems that we are some sort of spirit, not a corporeal form, but we did manage to eat a cat somehow. Noticing this, Michael nervously started his long-winded explanation of the situation to the woman while she drew up the sigil. He was halfway between explaining the part where his cat had disappeared and the scratches appearing on his body every night when she started to kiss him. He kissed her back. Okay, so the cat was banished into, I guess, another dimension where it was then eaten, and we are putting scratches onto this guy's back. We also think very little of this low-level witch. This is not the kind of horror that I'm typically used to reading. But I am invested. I'm interested to see where this goes. It's not keyhole fiction in that it's a different universe. Obviously, it's a different universe because, we don't have, sigils and that are charged by masturbation in this world. But it is, this seems to be some sort of underworld thing where not everyone knows about this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. I do wonder if you could get away with that, though, in terms of prostitution. Be like, no, this isn't prostitution. This is, she's banishing the spirit in my house. That's why I need this handy J. See the sigils written on my penis? She placed the paper sigil on the bed and laid it on as they took garments off each other one by one. This was much different than the other banishing ritual Michael had tried before, and I was intrigued for the most part. I watched as she took his penis in her mouth. She kissed it, licked it, and sucked it until it was fully erect, which didn't take long. He guided her up against his body until his face was at her breasts. He kissed her. He kissed, licked, and sucked on these, and as he did so, he placed his penis between her thighs to tease her with it. This isn't my story, and believe it or not, this isn't my story, and I don't know what goals the story is trying to accomplish, but in terms of eroticism, I would say this part is moving a little too fast. It could be stretched out some. It's very concise and to the point, and I think it could be elaborated on in some fashion. That might slow down the story. Again, I don't know what the goals are, haven't finished it yet, but that's my assessment. This is a little bit too abrupt, just for my taste. I became bored as they moved on to sex. I flickered the lights to try to remind them of why they were here, but as I did so, I felt my power over the material world was fading. It was very slight, but it was enough. I began to worry about what would happen if they both orgasmed on top of that paper. Sigils aren't even supposed to work like this. Not only was this boring, but it had to stop soon before my power I spent all this time gaining was lost. So a number of things can be gleaned from this. One, they are gaining power in some way, maybe through eating the cat, I'm not sure, but they are gaining power over the world. And two, apparently this banishment ritual is effective, it's working, and that's surprising. 3, that's surprising to our narrator. And 4, I guess, including, a play-by-play of the sexual encounter isn't what we want because our narrator isn't interested in that. I don't think that they have genitalia for this to be arousing. So I guess that explains that. The lights of the overhead ceiling fan flickered one last time as I manifested myself. My eyes became light bulbs on the overhead light. Each limb was an unfolding blade of the ceiling fan. My mouth morphed inside engine motor. My mouth morphed the inside engine motor. Yeah, okay. I unfolded myself into the spider-like being and looked down on the pair. That is a really interesting visual. This is working for me. That's interesting. We set up the ceiling fan earlier on to be an important part of the story, and the lights as well. So this is, all working well. By this point, the woman was sitting on top of Michael's penis and bouncing with her back to me. Michael was horrified by my manifestation. He tried to push the witch off of himself, but the stupid human started to beg me not to take the woman. I would have laughed if I wasn't in such a hurry. I'm not sure why this person is laughing, so, we need that information. I think that might be being withheld on purpose. I dropped down from the ceiling and onto the witch right before she orgasmed. With her head tilted back, my body landed on her neck. Each blade dug into her as my body began to spin. Due to the hair and bone, my new teeth in the engine motor had to work overtime to grind her neck into my mouth. I felt my energy come back from the sigil. I felt even more powerful than before as I sucked the squirting blood into my gears and let it spray around the room. There was only a little more energy that was needed for my final transformation to be complete. Once her head fell off, I dropped the body and crawled up the bed to the pathetic man. Okay, so I guess they didn't pull the cat into another dimension. They came into this dimension and consumed the cat, I'm supposing. The whirring of the motor in my spirit manifestation of a voice. With the whirring of the motor in my own spirit manifestation of a voice, I told him, "Your sacrifices have been noted, but your services are no longer required." So I think the comparison, the label of keyhole fiction is very apt for this. We're getting a very small glimpse into this world, and they have eliminated the threat of this witch. There's this personal touch here of the name Michael. So there's something significant there. It could be just that our spirit was cohabitating with this man for so long that she picked up on the idea of his name being Michael. There's the mention of the previous attempt at a banishing ritual that was not successful. And then there's this one, which would have been successful, we presume. And then there's the full manifestation. So this sacrifice of this witch was enough. This person that our narrator the spirit seems to have a very high opinion of themselves and a very low opinion of this witch that actually did pose a threat to them. So there's a lot of little details that we can pull out of this. This story, even though it's not safe for work, isn't about the sex whatsoever, really. Not in the least. And that's kind of a weird, misleading thing, but it does have this very Jason Friday the 13th moment of, sort of the teens being interrupted while having sex, that kind of feel to it. But this isn't for revenge. This is for the ability to come into the actual world, to physically manifest themselves. I don't have a whole lot of other thoughts about this, any deep interpretations of it. It was a delightful read. I'm not sure what else you could get out of this story, seeing as it is supposed to be this quick moment in time in another dimension. So if you have any feedback, I would love to hear what that is. Outside of what I've offered, I don't know what other advice to give. The writing was tight. It had really cool visuals. It called back to earlier parts in the story. Everything was set up well. So, enjoyable. I liked this one, even though it wasn't to my personal taste, and I was hoping for more sexual activity. Now, if you enjoyed that, consider checking out the Fear Fiction podcast, where three assholes, talking basement goose slime beast, inebriated interstellar traveler Abysme, and myself read all stories horror and internet related, paragraph by paragraph, and bullshit while we do it. From adolescent revenge fantasies to subtle postmodern narratives about real life events and everything in between. We read them and we critique them. Link to that is down in the description. Thank you so much for your time, and now on to our sponsor at this non-moment in time, which is Man-Eaters. Man-Eaters. Ooh, here they come.